for the first time in 2024.
Look what's in the corner. Blessed.
Blessed.
Can you see that?
I can. Talk about it. What does that mean to you today?
Jeez, she's getting heavy on me right off the bat. Start of
You
2024.
you asked for it.
I just wanted you to see my blessed.
I know, but it must mean something to you.
Well, I mean, I've had that up there for quite a while. And yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, I feel blessed to have this place. I mean,
Uh,
I look over to my right and I see the ocean and I hear the waves. And I mean, that's pretty blessed.
You want to show everybody?
Can we see it? I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, just tip it down a little bit.
More?
That's perfect. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a cloudy day. Insert footage from other shots you've taken that are with the sunset.
I arrived yesterday afternoon from Toronto and was all I could do to stay awake until 12 because 12 here is one
Right,
in Eastland.
right.
And because I was determined to film the fireworks, which I did. Did I send them to you?
No,
Oh, it's quite spectacular and it was like going off all around me. So how was your night? How was the bar?
we had a blast. I mean, Times Square, this is the number one destination for New Year's Eve in the world. And it's just I don't really know why, because it's like insanity, cramming all these people on this little island, but it's just something about that Times Square. Lots of people just come to New York for New Year's Eve, especially if people live somewhere hot and they want to experience something seasonal. To them, New Year's Eve is like it's winter, it's part of the holiday. And I love it because I thought about this year differently for some reason. It's the most universal thing. It's somehow not been attached to a religion. There's nothing religious about the new year. There are some other calendars in other people's religions that have different timing, but pretty universally, this is like the one thing we still all are like, yep, it's New Year's Eve. Tomorrow's 2024. Nobody can dispute, you don't have to be on one side, or believe in something.
But there are some people who believe I'm part of that crowd that it's just another day. To me, it just feels like a time for love and couples and romance, and that's very hard for a lot of people.
Mhm.
So I just
That's the commercialization of another holiday. But what I want, to what I want to nurture more in my life for this holiday is that it's important to mark, I think, that we've made it one more time around the sun. I mean, it is just another day. Every day is just another day, but it is, I think, the reflection that can be a part of this time of year. For me, that's why I enjoy it, because it's just a way to be like, oh, wait, so this was a whole year. What the fuck did we do for a whole year? Considering all the things. And you're right, we're up against a huge commercialization of a holiday. Like, that's just what naturally makes people feel like out of step, not included, different than the rest who get to participate in all these fun activities. But I was even telling a friend, I was like, even if you're alone, like, make something of it for yourself, not for anyone else. And I know that's what you do.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's what I do, and I'm I'm perfectly fine with it, but I'm just making a point that people make such a big deal. And,
Mhm.
you know, I think, I was watching bits and pieces of Anderson and what's his name?
Um, Andy Cohen.
Andy Cohen. And, it's
Right.
like it struck New Year's and this was kind of interesting. They always go to show people kissing.
Yeah.
And the first couple they showed kissing was two guys.
I mean, it's about time. Which, like, it's been hosted by these gay guys for how long?
Yeah. Anyway, how are you feeling about the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024? Like, what is your
The feeling I had the last couple of days was like, I'm ready for 2023 to be done. Like, I'm ready for 2024. And I don't mean it in a way that I'm like, ugh, 2023 was horrible. No, it was actually spectacular. And in that spectacularness, there was lots of, I don't even want to say peaks and valleys because they weren't like sharp, experiences, but there was a lot of like going up and down and experiencing different things within myself, within relationships, and where I'm at in my life. I think that's why it felt like a really long year, but not in a bad way. I'm just like, I'm ready for 2024's. I'm actually quite hopeful about 2024. And yet at the same time, the world sort of feels like it's falling apart. And like in many ways, politically, environmentally, like it just feels like we're it's an interesting thing to feel like personally so connected to myself and my own purpose and path and being content with all that, and then also feeling around me that everything is like on the precipice of like complete chaos. Or maybe once more of these baby boomers, no offense to your generation, but once these old men are out of powerful positions, maybe we'll see faster change. I don't know.
I'd like to focus on, personal as opposed to what's going on in the world
Yeah.
because we throughout our talks we talk a lot about the world and
Yeah.
you know I think the future will depend a lot on what happens in this next year or two. For me, 2023, I think was a preparation for 2024.
Yeah.
I am very hopeful. I have some goals or some things that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I think that I'm going to accomplish a lot. I did a great it was like a wasn't really a yoga class, but it was Sam's class this morning,
Yep.
and it was more of a relaxation and about more of meditation.
Yep.
And we wrote down a piece of paper like a word that we wanted to get rid of from 2023, and then a
Gotcha.
word for 2024.
Mm.
My word to get rid of was fear.
Mm.
And you and I have talked a lot on this podcast about fear, and that's what stops us from doing anything.
Yep.
And the word that came to me was faith for 2020.
Mm.
I mean, I'm a big believer in the universe and trust, but faith and trust are very similar, but faith became very strong because um last week I'm going to be starting my sharing chair this
Yep.
year, and I've already started with my mom was my first guest. And I said, what can you share with people? Like, she's 96 years old,
Mhm.
and
Mainly, I think what brought me to 96 and maybe a little longer if God wills, my faith. I love to pray. I love to talk to God. And many, many a times in the morning when I wake up and I feel down and I feel sad, I say my prayer, ask God for help. And when I'm done, after I did my little crying, I say, God, please take over.
It was quite amazing, actually. She said she's never hated anyone in her life,
Wow.
always liked or loved people. And the other thing was her faith.
That is amazing in that she found something that every day gives her strength, every day gives her purpose, every day gives her understanding and patience even with herself. Like this is why whatever it is for someone, I just always hope they find it because that's I mean after 96 years that you could still be that in a way hopeful, like you're staying hopeful. If you weren't hopeful, you would have, I think you would have left already.
Well, what I get out of it is it's a practice, and we talk
Yeah,
about this too, like, and you have a practice in the morning, and I know a lot of people do, and prayer is a form of meditation, or meditation's a form of prayer, whichever
absolutely.
way you want to say it. And every morning, and then she gets up and she watches mass on TV, and she's been doing that forever, and that's her routine, and that's why it's really important, for those of you who 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 don't have a practice or don't have a routine. Maybe this is a good time to start,
Yep. And like
and
we always say, start small.
yes.
You don't have to dive into an entire practice. Like actually I was just watching Deepak Chopra. He was talking about his morning routine on his Instagram today. And yeah, I mean it's a lifetime that he's built this morning practice. But it all started with one thing that became regular. And it's like a gift you give yourself, I think. And I think that's, I don't know if that's the words your mom would use, but certainly hearing how she can go from uncertainty to just like take the wheel, I'm good, enjoy the rest of the day.
That's when for meditation, or what I do is, again, my trust in the universe is like, I put it out there. Okay, show me,
Yep.
show me what, and you can do it like every day.
Yep.
Show me what you want me to do today, you
Yep.
know? And and so whether it's God or the universe or whatever you believe, like it really works. I mean,
Yeah.
it really does. Um, so Lee Harris, and Justin, you'll put the link to his
Hmm.
website and stuff. So he's a channeler, and every month he does an energy update of the, what does he call them? The
Yeah.
themes for that month. So he did one for the year 2024. So
Yeah.
2024 is a year of strength and purpose. The themes: personal evolution, acceleration,
Mm.
allow new ways of being in and letting go of old ways, changes in relationships, new relationships,
Mm.
personal connection, personal freedom, finding joy, heart awakening worldwide.
Mm.
New ways will be supported, old ways will struggle. Creative energy will be strong and supported in new arenas. A transformation is coming in 2024. It's a year of strength and purpose, but you need to invite it in.
It's interesting. The first thing that comes to mind when you were saying that, like, all these wonderful things that he's talking about being possible in 2024, but there's like a hitch. It's like you have to be open. You have to actually be open to see. You have to actually let yourself be a little uncomfortable sometimes, to a degree at which you will experience something different than your regular safety mode. And that is the part of the puzzle, if we call it that, that I think is the most challenging, or like it's hard to put words to help people sometimes, or even help yourself, because where is that line of like, oh, I'm uncomfortable, but this is actually good for me, as opposed to being in a comfortable place at all times, which is really not the goal in the end. And yet we want to feel good most of the time, but
Well,
That's not how change happens.
what I get, I mean, it sort of goes along with what we've just talked about. It's like, taking the time to invite it in and to ask,
Yes.
what is it that you want? What is it that you need? Be open to change,
Hmm.
And so it sounds like there's change coming. There's new experiences, letting go of the old. Now, I mean, you could say that every year,
Of course.
I don't think it's any big revelation,
No.
but it's just good to remind people of that. And again, it's more about, you know, what is it that you want, and how are you going to get that?
Yeah.
And we often try to give people tools to accomplish these things.
Yeah. I feel like, we were just talking about rituals and routines. Like those are really important in order to create grounding in your own life that you can like hold on to something. And at the same time, I think what we're seeing culturally, globally, like big scale, is that if you hold so tightly to the ritual, then there is no opportunity for change. So it has to be a little bit of both, where you have your rituals, but then you allow, if something's changing, you like allow it to actually change, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable, or even if you're like, well, that's not the way I do it every day. It's like, well, if there's a reason something is shifting, you also have to be open to a shift.
And you also have to work at it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a little bit of what you're alluding to. Like, it's like it's just, you're not just going to wake up and say, okay, my life's going to change. I mean, you can put that out there and
Of
say,
course.
I want my life to change, but you need to be like, okay, how do you want it to change? And what are you going to do to
Hmm.
help it to change? Like, I mean, I often just like don't do the work.
Hmm.
And it's just, it's not going to happen if you don't do the work.
Yeah.
If you're feeling a certain way, if you're feeling bored, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling uh like you don't have a purpose, or you're, whatever else is going on in your life, like, so what are you going to do about it? So what can you say? What can they do about it?
What can they do about it?
I was just like, okay, so I said that. All right. So now
Yeah.
I,
I mean, it'll all come back to something we talk about all the time, which is, I think, great to come back to. And you already alluded to it, this idea that keeping it personal, like it really has to come back to your own experience. Like,
and just to add to that point of, whatever direction you go, whatever you decide, you're going to learn something from it.
exactly.
It may not be, the path that you're gonna end up on, but whichever way you go will take you to the next path, which will take you to the next path. And along the way, you get to experience all these life lessons. Because there's a lot of people who have done the work and are very happy with their life.
Mhm.
They're in a great relationship, or they're happy on their own, or they love their career, they love what they do, and that's amazing,
Yeah.
you know. But even that, there's still, I mean, everybody has bad days and everybody has lessons, and it's like, it's
Yeah.
life.
I was just talking to Nikita about this yesterday. The idea that like when you're having a bad day, like I feel like it's important to bring context to that bad day and just say, this is one day. Now, I'm not disregarding when you have multiple bad days and it turns into weeks. But that's when I believe that asking for help is really important, because there might be ways that somebody else could help you through that difficult moment. Whatever the reason is, will be different for everyone. But on the average, everybody, no matter who you are, Beyonce, Oprah, Lady Gaga, Eddie, myself, and yes, we're all in the same category here, as fabulous human beings, we all have bad days.
Mhm.
It's not something you can avoid just because you have enough money or just because you have the love of your life beside you. At the end of the day, we've said this many times, it really does come back to a personal experience. And so you don't have anybody else but yourself to, in a way, rely on, like to get yourself where you want to be. But then you also need to give yourself grace and space to get there. It's a journey.
Exactly. And if you don't do anything about it, you're going to stay in that place.
Exactly. Like that's where
And-
the action takes precedence.
Right. One of my favorite sayings that was created by me so is if you want something to change, something has to change.
Love it.
That's it.
You heard it here first. Eddie Fritz. If you want something to change, you've got to change
No,
it.
if you want something to change, something has to change,
There you go.
you know?
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna wrap my part up with saying that's my thing for 2024. And
Mm.
and you know, I think there are going to be some significant changes coming for me, but I think for a lot of people, um, and I think we have to, embrace that. What has stopped me every other year from doing these things is what we talked about before, is fear.
Yeah.
So to me, I love your thing, and it's we bring it up, and we'll probably bring it up in every episode, and it's baby steps.
My feeling for this is like I'm nervous, excited.
Mhm.
There's like a little butterfly starting to flutter in my tummy because I know I'm going to do some bigger things this year.
Mm.
And that's exciting, but also really it's like a little bit in a good way nervous, like
Yeah.
nervous because it's what the nervous energy that you anything could happen.
Yeah.
Now it's a hopeful because I'm excited about what I'm going to experience, and also I'm at a place in my life, and I know you are too, where even when you're failing at something, you know it's not failure. You
Yeah.
know that the failure isn't a representation of who you are and your worth. So that's why I'm excited to experience some of this failure and these like moments of learning as I maybe perform again in a different way, or some version of that excitement is going to be experienced this year, and I'm ready for it.
I think that, I like when you said about being nervous, because I think there's sort of this, I don't know how to describe it. I want to say fine line between nervous and fear.
Yep.
There's like nervous, but it's like there's a little bit of excitement there too, because it's accomplished something. And I think I don't want to say I wish I would have done that.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, there are some things that sure, maybe at some point in my life I wish I would have done. Things like if you have an idea and you really believe in it, and I'm putting this out there to people, like do it. You
Yeah.
know, there's no reason, like, yeah, there's fear, there's nervousness, there's like maybe financial or whatever, but if you really want to do something, you can do it. Just start and say
Yeah.
it again.
Yeah.
Just,
One day at a time.
yeah. 2024. It's a year of change. Year of
Yes.
change and going forward. Love it.
Yep.
All right. On that note, my friend, I'm excited to continue the path we're on with life stuff.
Yes.
And
I mean, that's exciting for us too. Like, this journey of finding this groove, it took us a long time, y'all. And we weren't doing anything wrong along the way. We were just trying things. I think our this whole thing is like a big experiment of exactly what we talk about all the time. We like have allowed ourselves to experience all these different versions, and a lot of them have failed, but it's not failure to us anymore. We just see it as part of the journey of what brought us to this, which feels so right because of all the things we've done before.
And we did a lot of great stuff. I mean, I'm very proud of.
Absolutely. That's why I don't see them as failures. But in
Oh,
terms of what the world sees as like numbers, following, all of those things, bullshit. I call bullshit because it doesn't matter. What matters is that we've learned from the experiences, we've taken in the data and been like, okay, what would we do next? What would we do different next time? And also, what do we feel? Do
yeah.
we feel motivation to do more of that, or should we shift into something that feels more correct for us, which we found?
Yeah, and we, in the stuff that we've done, I'm sure that it's some of the things we've said and done has made a difference in some people's
Absolutely.
lives, and it's helped them. And we talked to a lot of great people, and um, yeah, I mean, I encourage people to go back through, some of
Yeah.
the stuff that we've done, and look at the titles, and if there's anything that resonates with you, watch it or listen to it, because there's some great stuff.
And we did one of my main motivations for ever diving into the YouTube world was to do exactly what we're doing, provide something that we never had.
Mhm.
And I still stand by that. That still motivates me to contribute in this way, no matter how big or small the numbers are.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have our other podcast, which is queer stuff, which we'll do more of that as well. So,
Queer talk, but I
queer.
do love queer stuff.
Oh yeah, I like that too. Queer stuff.
Combination. We're mixing episodes. When we
That's
want to do a combo episode, we call it queer stuff. Maybe we'll change it. We're open.
exactly. And again, we don't say this very often anymore, but if anybody wants to come on our podcast, you're welcome.
Or if you got a short film or a documentary or a music
Yeah.
video that's queer as fuck, we want to put it on our channel. So this channel is for y'all. I hope that all of you listening, while you've heard us talk about some of the things we're excited about, it prompts in yourself uh, a reflection or an awakening of the things that you maybe it was a little buried, and you sort of felt that little butterfly of like, oh yeah, there was something I wanted to do too. And I hope that momentum builds, because everything always is happening exactly as it should. It wasn't supposed to happen sooner. You didn't miss out on the opportunity. What's meant for you will not pass you by. And so if this is what it took, this momentum of not doing it for a long enough time until you're like, okay, I gotta do it,
Yep.
then go for it and fucking fly, bitches.
If you haven't seen our Christmas episode, you need to watch it, because I'm telling you, for a week afterwards, I kept hearing Jingle Bells in my head, because Justin does such an amazing rendition. I told you,
Aw.
you should record it. It's so freaking good.
I should. I just should. In fact, I will. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.